This is one of 3 gauges I installed: an oil temperature gauge, an oil pressure gauge, and a transmission temperature gauge. The gauges appear to be accurate and look amazing. It's been a year and no problems. Old oil pressure gauge was going bad on my WJ. Everything fitted perfectly. Keep in mind you will need an extension for your wiring harness, or if you're pretty handy like myself, you can use 16 gauge wiring to complete the installation. Shout out to Amazon Prime for exceptional service. I bought this after having the original motor finally let go and having to dish out the money to replace the engine in my Blazer. I have this gauge as my go-to for when my OEM sensor decides it wants to display the incorrect reading. The only reason why the motor went out in my Blazer is because I ignored the OEM gauge because of me thinking it was bad. If I would have had this gauge a lot sooner, I probably would have saved that motor from complete destruction. Install is a little bit of a pain in the rear end, but if you are mechanically inclined then it can be done. Great oil pressure gauge. Needed this to check oil pressure on my 1JZ. Very accurate and clean looking. Figured I'd purchase their boost gauge as well, and was well worth it. Very simple install. Now all I need are some gauge pods. Installed my gauge in less than an hour, including having to drain and refill my oil to install the sandwich plate for the sensor. The wiring was about as simple as it gets. Just follow the directions that GlowShift sends. Works very good. Bright display and the 7 colors are nice too. My factory gauge quit on my 1989 Dodge Ram, so I installed this gauge. Oil pressure runs about 65C driving at highway speeds, about 25C at idle. It's nice to see a number versus a gauge with no numbers. The gauge is very responsive to engine RPM as it should be. Very satisfied.